Welcome back to episode 13 of the Dear Young Man podcast. In today's episode, we are going to go over the 9-step program to end your porn addiction that I came up with, Mike Mentzer training protocol, I want to go over that, and a study shows reducing child screen time by 3 hours per week can improve mental health. Duh, on Dear Young Men. So over the past week, I have been posting some videos onto TikTok, which is a platform I kind of vehemently disagree with, just the idea of short form content, but I know that that's where the people are, so you have to go to where the people are. So my idea has been to try to focus that platform primarily on getting people to get over and get rid of their porn addiction. And somebody messaged me, I'm not going to say any names or anything, and he asked me for help. He's like, well, how can I do it? I talk about it in these little 20, 30, 40 second clips on how I would do it in a way, but not in depth, in detail, anything like that. So what I decided to do was I decided to come up with a program that will help. And so follow these 9 steps. And if you follow the 9 steps over the course of months and months and months, then you can actually break your porn addiction. So this is the 9-step program. I'm going to go over each step, and then I'm going to go over each step in depth and my reasoning behind it. The first one is admit that porn controls your life. Number 2, humble yourself before God and admit you cannot do it alone. Number 3, write down everything that is taken away from your life by allowing porn into it. Number 4, write down the things that trigger you. Number 5 is remove all the triggers. This is the hardest step. Number 6, pray for forgiveness and ask for strength. Number 7, track your progress towards getting better using a dedicated journal entry. Number 8, continue to remain humble and stay vigilant. Triggers will pop up every day, everywhere, all the time. And number 9, help somebody else out. Those are the 9 steps. If you follow those 9 steps, then I truly believe you will stop it. When I was a lot younger, I'm 29 now, when I was in my late teens in high school, I was, this is not an avid porn watcher, but basically I watched it all the time. And it controls you to a point that is scary, and looking back at it, it's probably a miracle sent from heaven above that I was actually able to defeat my addiction to porn. And this is a very religious, Christian-based view of it. I do not think you can do it without God. I do not think you can do it without a Christian worldview. So if that's something that you're not interested in, hear me out, because I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to make you become a Christian. I just don't think you can do it without Christianity. I don't think you can do it without God, and I don't think you can do it without Jesus Christ. First step, admit that porn controls your life. I base a lot of this program off of AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's not exactly that, but it's taken a lot of parts from that, and also what I believe and what I know. And so I have, obviously this is my method on how to do it, so it's not AA's method. I couldn't actually find a program like this, like a 9-step, 10-step, 8-step program. So I made a website too. It's scottschroeder.info, and you could check it out down in the description down below. This is all written out, so you can screenshot it. You can always go back to this, because I know videos are nice to hear, but obviously you want to be able to read it sometimes too, to go back to it in times of struggle, because there are a lot of important things that you're going to need to remember, that you're going to need to go back to the website for. So step 1, admit that porn controls your life. This is one of the most humbling steps, is because you have to say this out loud, and you have to say this, in my opinion, in prayer out loud to God. You can write this in your journal, but you have to speak the words out into the world, or else it is not real. We are physical beings as much as we are spiritual beings, and I will say that time and time again, which is important, because praying in your head, it counts. I'm not going to sit here and be like, it doesn't count. It means more if you involve more than just your spiritual being, the voice in your head. If you involve more than that, and you actually engage your physical self, it actually means more to say it out loud. So admit that porn controls your life out loud to God. He will listen. He's there. Number 2, humble yourself before God and admit you cannot do it alone. This is a very difficult step for a lot of people, not that difficult a step for other people. If you already believe in God, you already believe in Jesus, this is not that hard. You already know these things. But if you don't, and you're a really smart atheist, like many of them are, I think that there's something about being an atheist that it pulls the intellectual types to it, because it's very unhumbling, because they worship their own intelligence, and they are smart. I'm not taking away from the fact that they're smart, but I think they begin to worship their own intelligence. So you have to be able to humble yourself before God and admit you cannot do it alone, because you can't do it alone. You have to sit there, say it out loud, and say, I cannot do this alone. This is something that I need help with. I need you to guide me. I've always looked at God as like a river, you can make progress swimming against the tide. It's harder, but you can make progress. You definitely can. Some people, the tide might not be as strong against them, so they can make a tremendous amount of progress. But life, when you have got into it, it becomes like you turn around and you start to go with the current, and things become easier in a way, more difficult in others. It's harder to be a Christian, but I do believe life gets easier to live because you know the truth. And number 3, write down everything that is taken away from your life by allowing porn into it. This is more of a functional step. Look at your life, see the things that you have lost because of it. Porn, for some people, they are all in, all addicted. That's all they can think about. That's all they do. So for them, it's going to be a lot easier. For the people who just do it every once in a while, it's not a big deal for me, blah, 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 blah. It is. Write down every single thing that is taken away from your life by allowing porn into it. A good example would be a woman. Let's say you're single and you feel like you don't need a woman because you could do it yourself. Having a woman's better. I'm married. I got 2 kids. Trust me, it's better having a wife and having somebody you can grow with and who can help you live into the person that you were made to be. So write down everything. This is a very functional step. It's a lot of time will be taken up by it. So write down all the stuff that's taken away from it. What could you do with that time instead? What could you do as opposed to thinking about it all the time? What could you think about instead? This is a very functional step and a very important step because it's the step that you come back to and go, this is the life I was living. This is the life I was leading. And now I'm no longer living that life, no longer leading that life because I don't do this anymore. Number 4, write down the things that will trigger you. These can be anything. It could be Snapchat. It could be TikTok. It could be YouTube. It could be Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if I mentioned Snapchat. Whatever. All these things. There are so many. Netflix. Everything. It's everywhere and it's in everything. You have to write down every single thing that potentially triggers you. What websites trigger you? I'm not talking about the actual website itself, obviously, but what triggers you to get to the point where you want to do it. Remove those things. There's so much soft core porn out there right now, and we look at it and it's like, oh, it just doesn't really matter. It's just not a big deal. It is a big deal. Don't engage with that stuff anymore. And you have to write down every single little thing that can potentially flip that switch in your head. Write it all down because the very next step is going to be the hardest part once you have everything written down. We are going to remove all the triggers. Now, this means deleting not just the apps. So YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. It's not just deleting those. It's deleting the accounts. You have to go all in. You can't just dip your toes into it because it's just not going to work. And unless you go all in, it's just not going to work. So you have to go all in. Delete the account and then delete the app. That way there's no quick, I'll just re-download the app and sign in and then everything's back up. No. Your account's gone. And you know the thing is, people aren't going to miss you. The people really care about you, the people that actually truly care about you see in real life, or just text them or call them. It's not a big deal. They don't need to keep up with you on Instagram or Facebook. I haven't had any of those things for so long, and I still have relationships with people. Isn't that amazing? You just text them or call them. So that's the hardest thing. I have a quote here from the Bible, Matthew 5:28-30. This is from the Sermon on the Mount, the lust portion. You have heard that it was, I'm starting with 27. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. And the idea is this is the Sermon on the Mount. This is Jesus speaking to the crowd. And he's saying it's better to just cut your eye out, cut your hand off. If it causes you to sin, cut it off, get rid of it. And that's the same idea here with Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. I don't care what potential positive impact can happen from that. Delete those apps, delete the accounts from them, cut them off, cut the hand off. Get rid of it all. You could even go as far as getting rid of your phone. I will go back and forth on this all the time. I think that it's maybe possible, but a smartphone is actually an important tool. If you don't get sucked into the other things, I think you can get away with it with just having the smartphone, deleting the accounts, deleting the apps. But if not, get rid of the smartphone. It's not that hard. Downgrade your smartphone, get a flip phone, whatever it is. There are a bunch of dumb phones. I've actually reviewed them on my other tech channel, Techno Eclipse, and you have to go all in on it. That's why I say that step 5 is the hardest part. Step 6, pray for forgiveness and ask for strength. I have another quote here, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. So just understand that you have to pray for the strength to do it. You cannot do this alone. You have to look toward, I mentioned this at the beginning, you have to look towards God. You have to look towards Jesus because that's your only hope, in my opinion. I'm a Christian, so obviously that's what I believe in. And you could disagree with me all you want, that's fine. If you can do it a different way, I want what's best for you. So if you do it a different way, then that's fine. Like, I'm not going to be mad at you if you do it a different way. This is the way that I believe will help you, because obviously Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Number 7, track your progress towards getting better using a dedicated journal entry. You have to do this daily. Remind yourself that you are not alone in this fight daily. Pray for the strength daily, and then read a passage of the Bible daily. There are tons of good passages. Just look up any list of passages that help you defeat lust, and you will get a full list. You can read through those, or just read through any passage in the Bible. Obviously, I'm more of a New Testament kind of guy as a Christian. The Old Testament, the Psalms, which we'll go into in a little bit here, have some great passages that you should definitely look into. Next, step 8, continue to remain humble and stay vigilant. Triggers will pop up every day, everywhere. This is when it's been a month or 2 or 3 or 4 and you haven't done anything. Just remember that you have to remain vigilant in your fight against this, because if you don't, you'll lose. You just will, because it's everywhere all the time. And even if you break your addiction, you think you do, it can pop up in daily life in a way that you're just not expecting. So you just have to remain vigilant. And if there's a trigger that does pop up, remove it. We'll go into that in a minute here. And then finally, the 9th one is help someone else out. This is an embarrassing thing to talk about. So knowing that somebody has a problem is tough to know, but if you find that somebody does have a problem, share with them my link, share with them this video. Just make sure you help someone else out, because I think that this is one of the fights of this generation, and I hope to be the one that has the most and greatest effect on it, because that's why I'm doing this. I hope to help the most people, not for my own notoriety. I'm not saying this is my method that I made and you have to pray to me. No. You go to God and Jesus. That's who's going to help you. I'm just trying to point you in that direction. So now I have some functional things that I think are really important that are missing from a lot of people's potential tips. I watched some videos about this to make sure that these are my own ideas and I'm not just stealing from somebody. And so I have some actual functional real life things. So this is what to do if you feel like you're struggling, you're feeling the urge or the temptation. You watch something, you saw something pop up and you're feeling that urge. So if you feel the urge, remove yourself from the situation, whatever it is. If you're watching a movie, if it's on your phone, just put the phone down, step out of the movie theater, step away. If it's with your friends, step away, go to the bathroom, whatever it is, just leave. You just have to get out of there. Just make up an excuse. Who cares? Pretending you're on the phone. Oh, I got a call. Pretending you're on the phone. Just leave. You have to leave. Next, repeat this prayer. This is taken from Psalm 69. I have slightly edited it because I feel like the parts of the prayer don't fit exactly. The parts of Psalms 69 don't fit exactly with this, but so many parts do, so I edited it a little bit. So here is the prayer. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in the miry depths where there is no foothold. I have come into the deep waters. The floods engulf me. I am worn out, calling for help. My throat is parched. My eyes fail, looking for my God. But I pray to you, Lord, in the time of your favor, in your great love, O God. Answer me with your sure salvation. Rescue me from the mire. Do not let me sink. Deliver me from those who hate me, from the deep waters. Do not let the floodwaters engulf me, or the depths swallow me up, or the pit close its mouth over me. Answer me, Lord, out of the goodness of your love. In your great mercy, turn to me. Do not hide your face from your servant. Answer me quickly, for I am in trouble. Come near and rescue me. Deliver me, Lord. Amen. That's the prayer that you are going to repeat if you feel the urge, you feel the temptation. It's a little bit long, and there's a reason for that. Print this out, put it in your wallet. That way you always have it. It's linked in the description. It's written all out there. Take a screenshot of it, print it, whatever you have to do. Write it down. Write it by hand. I don't care what you do. It's taken from Psalm 69. Anytime you feel that urge, you feel that temptation, say this prayer. It's a little bit long. It takes a minute or so. It pulls you out. It makes you think about something else, something greater than yourself, and that will help you. And then write down this new trigger, adding it to the previous list, and that way you can take steps to avoid that in the future. Whatever it is, just make sure you're taking steps to avoid it in the future. I don't know of a perfect example, but something will happen, and make sure you're taking steps to avoid that in the future. And now, how do you actually remove the triggers from your life? After you write down the triggers, you have to Jesus says cut your eye out, cut your hand off. So you have to get that intense. You have to actually go in with that level of intensity when doing this. So go through your house, remove them. Use the screen time feature on your phones to restrict websites. I know Apple has this. I don't know about Android. I'm certain that they probably do, but I know Apple for sure. You can restrict adult websites, and then you can also restrict any other website that potentially could trigger you. Obviously, just never ever turn it off. That's a promise you have to make between you, yourself, and God. Number 3 is actively learn to use your phone less. So this means you have to. A phone is probably one of the biggest things for most people because it's always there, always on you. So in life, you have to learn to get away from it. So go outside for walks, go for a run, go work out without your phone, go get an iPod so you have music to listen to if you want music. Start to live a less digitally dependent life. That way you're not, your first instinct isn't always, you go to the bathroom, your first instinct is always to pull out your phone, you take a shower, turn on music. Just make sure you're avoiding your phone because eventually avoiding your phone less will bring up less opportunities for some type of trigger. 4, if your computer makes you do it, unplug the cable. This is extreme, but if this is something you do on your computer, take the power cable away and hide it. Put actual distance between yourself and doing the act. That's what you need to do. So take the power cable and put it in a drawer, hide it, throw it away. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like if you need to actually use the computer or you're trying to do it for this bad reason, then what you can do is while you're looking for it, while you're going to get it, you're like, I shouldn't be doing this. Then you'll say the prayer and then you'll stop doing it. Putting distance between yourself and the issue and the problem is huge. So you have to be very diligent and very vigilant about this. You can even turn off the Wi-Fi at night, whatever. You just have to get crazy about it. And finally, the 5th one is you have to build real barriers between yourself and the addiction. You just have to, and you have to learn to live a life without it. And you're going to have a lot more free time. So you have to learn to live a life with this more free time. Your life will be better for it, but so things are going to change in your life, and you have to be prepared for the change and be accepting and excited for the change, and you should be fine, and you'll do it. Like you can. I really believe that you can do it. So that is how those are the 9-step method. Obviously, I have the website linked down below if you want to check it out. Obviously, it's not for money. None of this is for money. It's because I have to. And I feel like I have to. Next, I want to talk about a little bit of a shift, talking about one of the most dangerous things that are happening to mankind, I believe, especially young men. This is the Dear Young Men podcast. And we're going to talk about the Mike Mentzer method of weightlifting. I stumbled across this a few weeks ago. I saw a video about somebody explaining this method. And to explain the method, it's really interesting. He's a very interesting guy. He passed away very young. He was a bodybuilder. There was some drama with him and Arnold Schwarzenegger when Arnold came back and won his 7th Mr. Olympia. Mike felt like he should have won, and he was probably justified in thinking that because Arnold didn't look nearly as good as everybody else, but they gave it to him because he's the big brand. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger. So whatever, big deal. So he gave up. He's actually a man who stands on morals and principles too, which is interesting. He died probably, I believe, because of the steroid use and an overdose of drugs, which is unfortunate, obviously. But he put some really great information out into the world. So his idea is basically, instead of doing a traditional split of 3 to 4 exercises, 3 sets each, 8 to 10 reps, instead of doing all of that work, which could amount to almost 100 reps of workout per day if you do a chest and back, what he's suggesting is instead of doing a bunch of weight that doesn't make you go to failure, he's suggesting do 2 to 3 workouts per body part and doing 1 set, 6 to 10 reps till true complete failure. So I have his exact workout splits here. I'm going to read them off to you. For chest and back day, you do dumbbell chest fly or cable crossover or pec delts, 1 set of 6 to 10 reps, and then you superset that with the incline Smith bench press, 1 set of 6 to 10 reps. He liked the Smith machine because he felt like he didn't have to worry about the balancing of the bar. So you could also just do a basic barbell bench press, and then you do those 2 supersetted. So you do the first workout, and then the second you finish that, you go to failure as far as you can go, you run over and you do the bench press. I mean, these are seconds in between. Next, you do the machine pullover or straight bar lat extension, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, and you superset that with close grip underhand lat pull down, and you do that 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. So you're at 4 workouts. You've done at most at this point 40 reps, which is like what I'll do for my entire back workout or my entire chest workout. And then you finish with 1 set, 6 to 10 reps of deadlift. And that's it. That's your entire workout. So you do 5 workouts, and each one, you should be done with this in like 20 minutes. It's very quick, but you have to make sure you go to true failure. Leg day, leg extension, 1 set, 12 to 20 reps, and you superset that with the barbell back squat or leg press, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. Again, complete failure. Leg curl, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, and then no supersetting. Standing calf raise, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, And then again, no superset, but then you do the next one. Weighted decline sit-ups, 1 set, 12 to 20 reps. That's your entire leg day. You're talking about 5 workouts, which is what I do on my leg day. I do 5 leg workouts. I do almost 4 sets for each one. I do 4 sets for calves, 4 sets for squatting, 3 sets for hamstrings, 3 sets for hips. I use the trap bar to do a form of a squat or a deadlift or whatever, and I do that for 4 sets. So in my leg day, I do almost 20 sets of stuff, and he's suggesting to only do 4 leg sets and then 1 sit-up set, 1 ab set. That's amazing. Like, that's incredible. How much time will this save you? So I'm actually testing this out on my channel. You can see it on the Scott Schroeder channel. I'm doing a 6-day body transformation, so I'm switching my workouts from what I was doing to this, and I want to track the actual progress to see if this is something that will actually give me a lot of struggle. I'm really excited about it. Finally, the last one is arms and shoulders. Machine or dumbbell lateral raises, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. Reverse pec deck or dumbbell rear raise, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. Barbell curl, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. Cable tricep press down, same, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, and you superset that with weighted dips, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps. So in all of this, you're only doing a total of 15 reps for your entire body each week. He suggests starting with a 4-day rest between each workout. So you do 4-day rest between each chest workout, 4-day rest between each leg workout, 4-day rest between each arms and shoulder workout. And then after that 4-day rest, after a while, you start to add in 1 extra day of rest, then 5, 6, 7, and eventually you get to 1 week of rest. So you should be only working out 3 times per week: chest, back, leg, arms, and shoulders. That's the idea. It's really interesting, really remarkable. He's a really intelligent guy. You should read some of his stuff, listen to some of his videos. I just want to put it out there for you to think about, something to think about, because I know a lot of people, we get into the gym, we just sort of have this idea, this conception of the more workouts I do, the more better it is. And he kind of flips that on its head. You just have to make sure you're going to true, like you don't have another ounce of strength left in you. You have to go to true failure. I tried it today for the first time, and I ended up having to do so many more deadlifts. I think I ended up doing like 25 deadlifts in a row because I just didn't have nearly enough weight on it. So the first week of it, track everything, because you're going to not be doing enough. But I felt it. I mean, I really felt everything. It's so different, and it took me like less than 20 minutes, which was remarkable, which is so nice, especially with kids. I've talked a lot about that and how to save time. This is how to save time. So I will be testing this. He obviously tested it. You could see what he looked like. He was on steroids, but doesn't change the fact that it worked, because he was on steroids and a top competitor, and he was a favorite to win the Mr. Olympia. So it does work. It can work, but you just have to be willing to obviously put the work in every single day. And now next, there was an article I saw from Medical Express. Study finds reducing children's screen time to just 3 hours per week improves mental health. Would you believe that? This is, I swear, I mean, sometimes some of the stuff that these scientists come up with, it's like they might be the smartest people on the planet. And I know that because they come up with articles like this. So if you can reduce your kid's screen time by 30 minutes a day, it will actually improve their mental health. That is so shocking to me. From the article, a team of psychologists and mental health specialists affiliated with several institutions in Denmark, working with a colleague from the UK, have found that reducing screen time for children just 3 hours per week can result in significant improvements in their mental health. In the paper published in the journal JAMA Network Open, the group describes how they conducted a randomized clinical trial involving 95 families and the impact of reducing screen time on electric devices. Prior research has suggested that children spending long stretches of time using electronic devices, whether to watch movies or video games, engage in social media, or play video games, tends to lead to mental health problems such as antisocial behavior and difficulties with handling emotions, which isn't a surprise. So they had 89 families involving 181 children from 10 cities in Denmark. The trials involved testing all the children in the study using utilized the Strengths and Difficulties questionnaire to learn more about their social skills, general behavior, emotional stability, and overall mental health. And then next, they asked all children in 45 of the families to reduce their use of electronic devices to just 3 hours per week, not including school usage, which is cute for me. For 2 weeks, video monitors were installed in the homes of participants to ensure compliance. And afterwards, all the children were asked to fill the same questionnaire to see if there were any differences. And the research team found that what they describe as significant improvements in the child's social skills, including reductions in behavioral problems and in dealing with emotional issues. That is so shocking to me. I'm beside myself. I mean, have I been talking about this for 5 years, 3 years, 4 years? Yes. But I'm not a scientist. I'm not an MD. I'm a dumb idiot. I'm a bald dumb idiot with bad hair genetics. I mean, yeah, I mentioned this last episode. I'm morally uncorruptible. So you know me. No, but this article is so interesting to me. This is going to be I think that there's a real chasm forming with people who are too lazy to parent their kids and who just give them iPads, and people who aren't. I think that the barrier is going to become greater and greater, or the distance between the two is going to become greater and greater, because the people who are willing to let their kids have unfettered access to screens are in this category. My wife and I are in the category where we don't even want light up toys in our basement. We don't want our kids to interact with light up toys. So I think the chasm is becoming so great. It's not like, oh, well, they let their kids use their screens for 3 hours a week or 10 hours a week, and we only let them use it for 9 hours a week. No. I think it's becoming so dramatic, so great. It's going to be a real reckoning that we're going to have with the entire country and the entire world, basically, where we have to figure out what is actually best. I know what I'm doing is right because it just makes sense to me. There's nothing to be gained from the internet when you're that young. You can learn from books. You can learn. Albert Einstein didn't have the freaking internet. He didn't need the internet. He was able to learn through books and talking and testing and actually doing the things. I believe the internet can be a great resource sometimes, but it has to be managed diligently, and even adults struggle with it. This is obviously not surprising that it affects kids, but it affects adults too. Adults are way more antisocial than they ever have been. People struggle talking to each other. People struggle having communications with each other just because it's hard when you're spending all your time in front of a screen. I know even at work sometimes it's weird. You talk to these people on messages and then you see them in person for the first time in 6 months and you like don't even know how to talk to them. You don't know how to communicate with them because you've only interacted with them as sort of an icon, this picture, or in some cases just like a J and an M. Do their first name, last name, those initials. That's the only way you've interacted with them. And you see them in person for the first time and you go, yeah, I mean, we've like made jokes together, but I don't even know how to do that with you because I'm so used to interacting with you only exclusively through messages. So it's quite the interesting shift. The more studies that come out like this, obviously, it's not surprising. No big surprise here. Don't give your kid an iPad. Don't give your kid a phone. This is not a surprise, but this is something that we all need to be. This is the Dear Young Men podcast, so I'm assuming that the people watching are my age or younger. So as you guys have kids, don't give your kids access to screens. Your wife, if she is pro screens, you need to have a real conversation with her, show her studies like this, show her articles. If your girlfriend is pro screens, dump her and find somebody else. No, you can work with her, but she's, you know what I mean? Like, just send her a text and say, we're done, and then find somebody else. So anyways, I truly believe that this is one of those things that over the next 5, 10, 15 years, there's going to be this huge divide between people and how they allow their kids to interact. And it's going to be strange. It's going to be a very odd thing because these kids that don't know how to talk to each other, who are iPad kids know how to talk to each other. Basically, they just like line up their brainwaves and they just sort of speak to each other like that, like whales almost. Like they just make those kind of noises and they can communicate. But kids that are homeschooled or that don't have access to these screens and iPads, they're going to really struggle having communication. It's something that I'm worried about. They're not going to be able to communicate with their friends and their peers. But I'm hoping and I believe that we know enough people who our kids can interact with that don't have access to screens, so that way they can have a group of people that they can interact with comfortably because they haven't been dumbed down and ADHD'd up the wazoo by these screens. This is also obviously for kids, but adults too. Get off your phone. I promise you, life is better outside of the screen. It is better. Other than this podcast, just listen to it while you go out for a walk or something. There's nothing I like more than going on a walk with my family, going to go on the swing sets, going to play with them. It's remarkable the life that's out there that you could live, but you're stuck at home playing on your screens all the time. So those are the 3 things I want to talk about today. But I have a 4th thing, a bonus thing. This is the quote of the day section. And so the way it's broken out is I normally talk about 3 to 4 topics in the beginning of the episode. I have a quote of the day section, the comment section, and then the unsolicited advice section. This quote of the day sort of wraps up with an extra topic that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to start with the topic and then relate it back to the quote of the day because I'm such a talented writer. So there is this YouTuber, a popular YouTuber, and I just heard about this yesterday. Apparently this has been big news for a while, but I just heard about this yesterday. His name is Cody Ko, and he was caught, I think this is like 5, 8, 9, 10 years. This is an extremely long time ago. He was 25, and he had sex with this girl, Tana Mongu. She's something Mont, I don't know, Mong, and she was 17, he was 25, and he knew that she was 17, and he still ended up having sex with her anyways. This is obviously an affront to everything I believe. I think that the devil gets into us the easiest way, through our bodies, through our desires, through our lusts. That's why I'm so anti-porn. But this is not uncommon, because just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Dr. Disrespect, and he did something similar. He didn't end up sleeping with somebody, but he was talking to an underage person. So what is it that famous people just love underage girls so much? And I don't know. I don't actually know the issue. I was trying to think about like every Bible verse I can think of, why there are some Bible verses that talk about how Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." So I think it might have something to do with that. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm struggling to think why they feel this desire to go towards younger and younger people who are, I mean, he's 25, she's 17. This is not nearly as egregious as the Dr. Disrespect. And I saw a lot of people commenting about the morality of it that don't believe in God. And I always wonder, morality of what? If you don't believe in an abject, a God, the God, if you don't believe in God, there is no moral framework that you can actually adhere to, because the Ten Commandments, the Bible, basically, it lays out the entire moral framework. Jesus reiterates it too. It lays out the entire moral framework of humanity, that every life is inherently valuable. But that only matters if you believe in a God. There is no morality without God. And so I struggle understanding, these people are saying, well, you know, it's morally blah 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 blah. It's immoral. It's all this stuff, and I'm questioning, like, well, if you don't believe in God, how can it be immoral? Who's to say? They're right. They happen to be right, but they're right maybe not for all the right reasons. So I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot and thinking about this, why they go for young kids, and I think it's probably a power thing. I also think that we need to understand that every single person on the internet is a man or a woman, and they are all sinners, and we are all a bunch of scumbags, including myself, especially myself. We are not people that need to be looked up to, and some of these people who don't have a moral framework, they do something that's wrong but feels good in the moment, which is what they've been taught. They've been taught to do the thing that makes them feel good, the thing that gives them the most pleasure, and they do that their whole lives, and then eventually they get caught, because it is, if you do that long enough, you'll eventually stumble into some type of morality situation, and in this case, a 17-year-old hooking up and having sex with a 25-year-old, or vice versa, whatever. That's wrong. I mean, it's definitely wrong. It's definitely a wrong thing to do, and I just don't understand why they do it. I don't understand the appeal, why they do it. My guess is some type of power thing. I think that maybe when these people get so famous, they get so powerful, they begin to lose the thing. They don't have the God framework to go back onto. So they start to act like they themselves. They start to worship themselves. It's so different than Moses leaves for like 10 minutes, and then all the Jews that just escaped Egypt, they start worshiping a golden calf. So it's like, I think this is human nature in a way. And I'm not saying that that's acceptable. What they did is acceptable, but I think it's human nature to sin. And we basically just, in a way, if given the opportunity, most people will, unless they can put their faith into God. So this is me. I'm a Christian, so I'm pushing it. Whatever. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's my podcast. I can do whatever I want. These people are not to be looked up to. They are not role models. There are no role models. So there's one role model, and he died on the cross for all sins. That's it. And there's nobody else. I mean, there are more role models. I think Mary, they're good. Okay, there are more role models than the one, but the one that we should all be striving to be is Jesus. And I think that these people that watch these people, that look up to them, they're not to be looked up to, including me. Like, don't take this as, oh, not them, but definitely me. No. Especially me. These are my ideas. I believe in them. I'm living into these ideas, so I am becoming a good example for my ideas and a body of work to show, yes, these ideas work. But that doesn't mean that you have to do everything I say to do. I want to help you, but I want you to come up with these things yourself. Come to these conclusions yourself. I want to help push you along that direction. And just remember that these people, these celebrities, all these people are corrupt. They're evil. We all are. So nobody is to be looked up to. There is no good role model. We are all corrupt. We're all evil. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. There's one person who was uncorruptible and not evil. He beat the devil in the desert after 40 days and 40 nights. And he's Jesus. So that's the one role model. So the quote of the day is, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money," or mammon, whatever. Money is the root of all evil. It's just like lust. It's all these things. They lead you down a path that strays you and pulls you away from God. It's the best way the devil can get to you is through lust. It's through the innate desire of the flesh. It's that and food. I think those are the two ways that the devil can get to you. So that's the quote of the day. And I say that quote all the time because to me, it's one of the quotes that is just most appropriate to today and everything that we're doing. And now to the comment section. We have no comments that are disagreeing with me or asking questions. However, my friend Tom, who is literally, in 5 years or in 3 years or in 2 years, when people actually watch this podcast, they're going to be like, man, this guy Tom, he's like the only one that got to answer comments. I should have found this podcast earlier. And that's true. So Tom, he's a fantastic YouTuber. Tom in the Sky 21 is his handle. He makes wonderful videos. You should check them out. He basically said that this is a great podcast and I'm the best ever. And while I agree with him, next time he should write more about how awesome I actually am, because I really am. I'm truly one of the best people to ever exist. Thank you, Tom, for listening and commenting. I really do truly appreciate it. If you're listening, leave me a comment so that way you can be in the next episode. And finally, we have the unsolicited advice section. And today's unsolicited advice is that we live in a culture of now. We need to learn to live in a culture of 10 years from now. Everything in life takes way longer than you think it will take. There's a quote, I think, from Tony Robbins. People underestimate what they can do. People overestimate what they can do in a day, in a month, but they underestimate what they can do in a year, or 2 years, or 10 years. We live in a culture of now. We live in a culture of young guys, 16, 17, 18 years old, going to the gym, and after 2 months of it, getting on steroids and hopping on the juice and getting on steroids. We just live in an endless culture of now where we just eat the thing that feels the best. We swipe right on the girl on Tinder or the boy on Tinder to get that feeling of, oh, they like me, they love me, they want to sleep with me, that means I'm valuable. We live in a culture of now. I need an instant, immediate gratification. I post pictures. The less articles of clothing I have on, the more likes I will get on the picture. We live in a culture of now. And we need to learn to live in a culture of 10 years from now. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It actually just doesn't happen. Because you could look at the overnight successes or the child prodigies, and you realize that they've put in 10 years worth of work. I've talked about this before, but with Mozart, he put in 10 years worth of work before he hit the age of 12 when he was a child prodigy. But was he really a child prodigy? He'd been playing for 10 years. He'd been writing for 10 years. Yeah, he's technically a child, and he's really good, but it's because he's put in 10,000 hours of practice, however many thousands of hours of practice he had put into that point. Obviously, I'm sure he had a knack for it to a point, but also at the same time, too, he was just a man who just happened to be young, who got into it really young. Same thing with Tiger. Tiger was a child prodigy. He was on the Golf Channel when he was 2-3 years old hitting golf balls because things just take time. Things take years and years and years to get good at. We live in a culture of now. It's why the buy now, pay later schemes, they make me so mad because it just feeds into the culture of now, feeds into the culture of we need this 5 minutes ago. Why can't Amazon get it here tomorrow? Same day delivery. I'll pay an extra $80 for it to get here yesterday. People, we live in an endless culture of now, and we can't just think about 10 years from now. The thing is with the culture of now that's the most damaging is that wealth has never been easier to obtain. So what I mean by that is it takes time for it to actually obtain the wealth. But if you look at the stock market, if you just would have been patient over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years, over the last 30 years, however old you are, 5 years, and you just put money in, you just never touched it, you would have made 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x the amount of money you put in. If you just touch it, you put it in, you don't touch it, you just leave it, and then you just check back in on it every month just to see how it's doing. We live in a culture of now where we need the nice car now, the nice house now. We need this, and this. We need the body now. I got to take steroids. All this stuff. Living in a culture of now it has its consequences. You just don't feel them until you're older. Consequences do exist, and they will always exist. That's a great thing about life is no matter, when you were a kid, the bully, that's what they would tell you. So the bully, he would beat you up, blah, 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 blah. But you knew when he was 20, 25, 30 years old, he would just sort of be the same guy, and you could go on and move past that and be a successful person. Life has consequences, and we live in a culture of now. And because we live in that culture, people have forgotten that stuff takes time. Shit takes time. That's just the thing. It just takes time. If you want to do this thing, you want to build this business, it just takes time. Day in, day out, you have to show up, show out. I have 20. Here's an example. This is episode 13 of this podcast. I will give you some statistics. I have 87 plays on every single podcast for the entire length of this on Spotify and Apple. And I'm almost certain that 30 to 35 of those are me and my wife. So you're talking about 40-ish, 50-ish plays from people I don't know. Next, let's look at the subscribers on YouTube. I have 28 subscribers. I've posted 41 videos on this channel. I've posted 13 episodes. How many people would stick through it this long? A culture of now. I know what I'm doing is right, but I know that I need to think. I talk about it in 2, 3, 4, 5 years when people are actually watching, when there's some audience. That's what I'm focused on. Let's go over to TikTok. I have posted how many videos onto TikTok? So we're looking at TikTok here. I have my podcast, Dear Young Men Podcast. I have posted, looks like about 30 videos, and I have 110 followers. We are so obsessed with this culture of now. We need it yesterday. We need it 5 minutes ago. Can I pay extra? I need it now. I can't be patient. I can't wait. This culture of now is killing us. It's the reason you will fail. It's the culture of now being greedy for now and not thinking about tomorrow, the next day, a month, a year from now. It's why people I think are so overweight. It's why people don't work out. It's why people don't invest. It's why people have so much stuff. It makes them feel good in the moment. Retail therapy, it makes them feel good in the moment. And then years pass and they go, I've never even used that thing once and it cost me $1,500. It cost me $500. Why didn't I just invest that money? Every 7 years, the stock market doubles. If I just would have invested that money 7 years ago, I'd have another $3,000 instead of the $1,500 junk thing that's now worth $200. We live in a culture of now. Stop living in a culture of now. Live for a culture of tomorrow. Let's create a culture of tomorrow, a culture of 10 years from now. That's what we need to be living for. We need to be living for the future and not living in the moment. The living in the moment idea is wrong and it's never been right. The Bible, it's nothing that talks about that in the Bible. Living for now. Do the thing that makes you feel the most good right now, the most gratifying. No, we're trying to live for tomorrow, to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And the only way to do that is to be patient and not live in the moment, not live for now, not live for this, only this moment. I just need this car. I just need this house. I just need this gizmo. I just need this gadget. Stop doing that. You're killing yourself. Thank you for watching. This has been, or listening, this is Scott with the 13th episode of the Dear Young Men podcast, and I will see you for the 14th episode next week. Peace.